All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Saturday, December 22nd, 2018, and the title of today's webinar is Draw Your Boxes and Move with Swings. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instrument trading involves risk, therefore there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, first off, what I want to do just real quick is to show you, bear with me a second, I gotta get this log out of the way. There we go. All right, I'm going to show you real quick. If you happen to be using Ninja 8, what I'd highly recommend would be, if you do happen to download Ninja 8, don't download this version right here, okay? Download this prior release right here, because there's actually some changes in this one as far as the way charts appear on your chart, chart trader, different things like that. So, in the meantime, until we get the new object trader out, you really want to use this version if you use Ninja 8 at all. Now, keep in mind, Ninja 8 does not have object trader, the strategy on it, and I'm hoping anytime. Okay, but it's getting close to the end of the year, so I'm hoping we'll make the end of the year. I keep getting promised that. I just don't know if it's going to happen. All right, so be sure, even if you have this version already on, you can go to your control center on Windows and remove it, and then just simply install this one. Okay, because our Ninja 8 that's out right now works with this release. It doesn't work that well with this one. And it's to do with the toolbar and the way the new charts work on Ninja. Okay, if anybody has any questions on that, just let us know. All right, now, real quick for everyone, just to get anybody started that's new with the team, we always keep our templates and workspaces and things like that right here in this little zip folder, and it's only able to be gotten to in the members area, so nobody outside the members area can get it. And even if somebody figured out how to do it, we can turn them off anyway. Okay, Linda watches the licenses coming in, like a hawk as far as that goes. If she sees a machine she doesn't recognize, or that's not with somebody that's, joined us or sending an email or whatever, she turns them off. Okay, so be sure if you get a new computer for Christmas, this is another good thing to say right now. If you happen to get a new computer for Christmas or something, be sure to send an email in with your new machine ID. Would be very important, okay? Because if a machine comes in that we don't recognize, we just simply, it's normally got like a 10-day trial on it. We back that trial up to 1 day and we shut them off. Okay, because our scripts are only to be out there with people that are authorized. All right, now if you're new with us also, or even old members or anything, be sure to brush up on the ebook. If you're unfamiliar with anything to do with Object Trader, watch this webinar right here about swings. We're going to talk about quite a bit of that today too, and then this Phantom trades in detail. And then once you're through with these training type videos, you can go simply to the regular videos. This was Charles's webinar from Thursday night. It's already posted. Okay, so let's see here. Real quick, we'll go ahead and go to a chart. Okay, you should be able to see a chart on my screen. I like to start out this way personally, okay? Simply because, and I talked about this quite a bit in a webinar that I did for identified swings. And let me go ahead and bring this up right here real quick. Okay, I think everybody's seen this particular one quite a few times, so you're pretty familiar with it. Bear with me a second. My question log just went away. There we go. Go to webinar and it must be doing some kind of an update. Be sure and ask any questions that you want during this webinar too. But always remember that no matter when you're trading, there are actually at least 3 trends on your charts. And the one you're most concerned about keeping with the trend is this one here. It's Lightning 3. Okay? Because if you're getting a low, a high, a higher low designated by taking out this swing by X ticks, you know that that's an uptrend. Okay? Then this is your little Lightning 1, makes it real easy to draw a trend line, take some trades, draw a trend line, take some trades. You'll see it on the actual chart. But keep in mind that these can change directions and still leave this intact by making a higher low and then heading up again. So it's really important to stay with the overall trend. Okay? Now, let me show you why on that. Because to give you an example right here on this chart, I think everybody can clearly see that you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, and you only know this is a lower high when it takes out this swing to the left. It's really that easy to see identified swings. If you were looking at this in real time, when is this swing established? Well, it's only established when it takes out that low, and you can draw a trend line, or pardon me, a horizontal line right there on your chart, and you'll know when it takes it out, right? See, so that's an identified swing. Now, the question is this an identified swing? Anybody? Because you want to get in the habit of not just letting them take it out by 1 or 2 ticks or even 5 ticks, because that's just a bar basically. Okay, so you have a high here, a low here, lower high, barely lower low by 1 tick, and then they make a little higher low, and this is what you've got now. But is this an uptrend? Anybody? Is this an uptrend yet? And the answer is no, because you've actually got your identified swing right this very moment is high, low, lower low, and you're even barely taking out this swing here, so this could become an identified swing also. But this is your identified swing over here right now. Okay? Now, could you as traders though, even looking at this chart right here, could you actually still box in or do trend lines even against trends? And the answer is yes on that. Okay? Because you'll find time and time again, if you can get a good trend line on a chart, for instance, if you had shorted this up here, could you have actually had your stop something like this to begin with? Something like that trend line. So if it did break that trend line, could you take a chance that it might go up a little bit? Yes. Yeah. And just think though, if you do that type of thing though, you've got to get not just these little bitty moves against, you've got to get a good trend line where you can see a thrust down, a retrace, and you can actually draw a good trend line. Okay. And if you do take a trend line against a trend, don't let it go against you very much at all. Okay, for instance, if I was to draw this trend line and decided, if this is going to double bottom, now we don't know if it is, but that's where the trend line's at. If this was to double bottom and then pop through that trend line, I might get all the way back up to here, or even here, right? Maybe even take this out a little bit and then roll over. So you can go against trends. That's why you'll see time and time again that, if we draw a trend line, if I was short on this, I'm not going to let it go back to mid-band, not mostly on oil, and a lot of times not even on some of the other equities, because if you think about from a low to even mid-band is 24 ticks, that's giving up 240 a contract, and that's just unacceptable in my eyes most times. Now it will take you out of a trade occasionally, and you'll have to get back in. But anybody could say, well, if you got in here and you just rode this thing down, could you actually leave it to where you had one contract in with all kinds of pullback? Sure, you could. But keep in mind that if you did that, you're going to literally have 50 and 60 tick swings. And we trade, obviously, quicker than that. Let's see, what is that black chart called, John? Well, this particular chart, John, that I like is actually called the webinar. chart, and it's on the website in that little template and scripts folder that's on the website that I just showed. You can just open that and take that little template out of there called webinar and drag it into your documents /NinjaTrader 7 /templates /chart, and just drop it in there, and you'll actually have it with your templates. We've even got that template in Ninja 8 too. Okay, now like I said, I personally like this particular template, and if you get to where you can see it without actually having to draw it, that'll help you even. But this will also keep you from getting into little bitty, trades and thinking it's going to go up 100 ticks when all you're wanting to do maybe sometimes is just scalp against a trend even, which you can do. Let's see, webinar template is available for NinjaTrader 8 too. Yes, hi on your question, it is. It's in the little folder there. Now, what I was going to also say, though, real quick, is that we always make sure that our scripts are protected worldwide, because there's a lot of people out in the world, and there's some that are not as, well, what I'd call scrupulous as other people are. So, so that we don't get our scripts hacked and things like that, we do build in some special coding that basically will expire the files, and that's getting ready to happen by the end of this month. So Ninja 8, Ninja 7, Object Trader, everything will be going dead. Now, we will be putting out, I've already got it done, as a matter of fact. I've already got the new license code in for NinjaTrader 7 and even Object Trader, and I'm hoping to get a little update on it before I send it out, but I'm not going to wait much more than Wednesday. Okay. If our programmer does not have a new release by then, you'll have exactly the same scripts. They'll just have a different drop dead date in them. Let's see, those lines connect swing high and swing low. Well, hi, on your question, yeah. Basically, to give an example on this, let's say that you were, and this is a real chart, by the way. This is actually Lightning 1, Lightning 2 and Lightning 3. Now, Lightning 1 you would draw, I'd probably draw it from here. See, there's Lightning 1. It is pretty much staying with Lightning 2 right now. Okay. And yeah, these are real swings in here, and you can draw trend lines and use Object Trader to actually go against a trend if it happens to break. Okay. And keep in mind that the whole idea of trading is making money. Could you have done a trend line across there? And the answer is yes. When I do trend lines, I just strictly scalp. And you can do a template on Object Trader to scalp. Okay. Now, this has taken up quite a bit of the webinar, so let's go ahead and, without further ado, get into the rest of it. All right. Does everybody see, though, how you can clearly see that which trend you're in? See, even though this broke this swing across here, that's not a higher low than that one. So this is still a downtrend. You could even look in your mind and say, okay, that's a ABC. So like 1, 2, 3, maybe down here, and then 4, and then 5, and so on. Because the whole idea of trends is higher lows and higher highs for longs, and lower highs and lower lows for shorts, right? Okay. But you have different trends on your chart. This is a downtrend right here. See it heading down? When would it start heading up? When it takes out this swing to the upside. See, you've got a higher low right now. So could that actually possibly do a 10-tick trade? Very possibly. And you can draw trend lines on them and even take trades like that if you want. Just be careful and don't get your trend lines where they just get wicked in and then they slam them again. Because if you go against the trend, I would highly recommend, not letting it get you for very much money at all, because you're counter trending a little bit then. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the actual chart and see where we're at. All right, you should be able to see the actual chart. Now looking at our backgrounds and everything else, see how even diagnosing that this was all, exactly what went on in this chart. This is the exact same chart, by the way. I can draw Lightning 3. Okay. I can draw Lightning 2. And see, that's exactly the same chart. Okay? So, if you're a little bit more of a gutsy trader, you can go against the trend and draw trend lines and try to take trades. Now, keep in mind with this midband like this, you could also be taking a chance of just barely getting in and then it going back against you too. Okay? Now, we're not basically that kind of traders. We're actually looking more for the retracement trades in the direction of the trend. Okay? So that's exactly what we're gonna do today, and I'll show you. But I'm not discounting the fact that you can take some of these counter trend trades. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and put Object Trader on to see if we can get a trade. And let's see. Should have everything set. Oh, and one thing real quick, by the way, too, if you ever get duplicate predictors or stealth, make sure that these parameters for predictor and stealth are set on 4 range. Okay, otherwise they're not matching your indicator, which is exactly the same thing. Okay, and I've helped many people take care of that. All right, so let's go ahead and set this up. All right, now, like I was mentioning, you can, if you want to, you know, if you decide you want to go ahead and take a trend line type of a break and see if you can get some coin, you can actually just simply draw like a trend line, leave it a little bit away from the swings, and if it happens to break, you know, turn off all of the targets here and then just simply try to go for like, say, 10 ticks, something like that, if you decide to do it. And you also want to counter trend it, and I usually, if I do that, would go like, usually 1 tick, because 1 will be 2 anyway. And then if you happen to get that, you just don't let it go against you very much at all. Okay. If this is actually, you know, double bottoming, like I say, keep in mind the whole idea that we designed Object Trader with trend lines is so that you can take advantage of that type of trade. See there? Now, will that trade work out? Well, you're down about 10 bucks. It broke the trend line. Now, like I say, I wouldn't leave this stop way down here. I'd probably be bringing it up by now, just under that swing. Be risking like 7 ticks. We're back to 20 bucks. See, and there's a $100 bill. All right. Now, the reason I just wanted to show that is because when you think about trend lines and everything, that's a really good way to trade and to take profit out. Okay. It's a very good way to take profits out. Because, for instance, if you had shorted up here on Phantom, could you have drawn that trend line after a thrust retrace, drawn a trend line, and that would have been your out right there. Okay, let's see if we can get another trade. Now, let me ask everybody, if you're diagnosing charts right now, what would it take to change trends on this particular chart? Anybody? Well, first off, you would need to at least get up into this area, pull back into like mid-band and hold, and then take off. But I don't even look at that a lot of times, because you've got to keep in mind that as long as this is stair-stepping down here, you're still looking for shorts. Okay? But even with looking for shorts here, I always think about what will it take to change directions on this chart. Okay? So I see a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Okay? Now that's lightning 3. All right? So I'm pretty much saying, you know what? I think it'll at least take taking this out, that's lightning 3, and very possibly this. Okay? Now if this was to literally change directions, I would want it to actually take this out, or this out at least, come back and kiss and start stair-stepping back, you know, where it would be going long instead. But does everybody see right now that I mean, this is definitely, even if you draw it like this, thrust, retrace, thrust, or if you draw it like this, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. So you have, definitely lower highs, right? So you're looking for shorts. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that you can't take some of these trades like this. I wouldn't recommend jumping in 3 or 4 contracts, maybe a couple even, try to get, say, even a couple of $100. You could do that if you want to go against trends, that is. But the best way on this particular trade right now, and does anybody see a trend line drawing right now? Now, by the way, if you don't want to use the same wedge, you can always just get rid of it and then draw another one, okay? Because Object Trader looks at that wedge, okay? And then you just have to tell it, which direction you want to go. Now, we're talking about mainly boxing in, but this is virtually the same thing as boxing in. It takes thrust, retrace, and then go in the opposite direction to take out even a trend line. But I'll do some boxing here in a little bit too. I'm just seeing a good trend line here. And if this pops up again, I'm going to draw the trend line even tighter, which you can do. See, something like that. Okay. And we could be ready to take that trade if it happens to short inside this would actually be, that's your top one. Okay, or pardon me, no, that's your bottom one, so we'd want out. This doesn't even count yet because we're above the bottom. This is our B button. This is not even a button at all right now. Now, if it does go below this line, it will become the bottom button. Okay, let's see. How do you know it's Lightning 3 or Lightning 2? Thank you. Hi, on your question. Well, basically, the way we've designed all of the Lightning is Power Meter 1 and Lightning 1 are exactly the same thing. All right. Lightning 2 is basically your 4-range chart with 2 strength, 4-range chart with 1 strength, 4-range chart with 15 strength, and 12-range chart with 5 strength. And that's all in your indicators. If you just simply go to your indicators, pull it up, you'll see the parameters. See Lightning 2 to give an example, 4-range, 2 strength. Lightning 3, 4-range, 15 strength. Okay, you can see those just by going to the parameters, and you can change them. If you find something that works better for you, by all means change it. That's okay too. Okay, we didn't black box anything. If you find a better way to trade this system, that's a-okay with us. Let's see, how do you draw a trend line with multiple parallel lines, David? Well, basically, keep in mind, just think of a box on a trend line. Okay, because this is technically, if I drew this like this, for instance, let's say that I drew something like this. All right, and we'll get rid of this one for now. All right, this is the B button and this is the T button. Because if the price is above the line, it's the B button, and if the price is below this line, it's the T button. Okay, so for instance, if I was to set this like this, at short inside, it would have to touch this trend line within 1 tick and roll over. Or if it does the B, it'll simply go against this trend line by 1 tick and roll over. Everybody see that? So when phantom trades start hitting the Lightning 3, be aware of the change of the trend. Absolutely, Sal. On your question, now, is this a trend change, though, as far as Lightning 3? No. As far as Lightning 2, yes. And where did it change trends? Thrust, retrace, right? Higher low, higher high, when it took out that swing right there. That's actually that little micro trend. Okay? Now, like I said, though, if you're going to trade the micro trend, put really, really tight stops, because they also have lows, highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And then if they stair step back down, they're going back down the other way. Okay? Let's see if we can get a trade. Now keep in mind, you could also box this, okay? We've got trend lines drawn. You want to go ahead and box it instead? Well, we may get this trade. Just a second. If that goes one more tick, it's going to fire it. Do we want it? Well, let's find out. Wow, that's slow. I'll speed it up to about 5 times. Okay, there's your trade. Now I forgot to change these targets back, so I could add one if I wanted to. And by the way, you can actually get rid of your trend lines. You can even draw another one really quickly. You know, for instance, if it took that out, could I actually add a trade to this? And the answer is yes. See, I just did. Okay, helped me a lot yesterday on that. Good, good. Why does stealth disappear sometimes even when there is not candles in its way? Cross, on your question, basically that's in the algorithms that we built on stealth. It comes and goes, and it's really based on quite a few things, that even including, you know, the strength of the move and other things that we've got built into the algorithm on it. Everybody see how you can do that though? See, I drew a tight trend line and I drew a looser trend line. Okay, and now I'm in one contract, it looks like. Let's see if we can get another one here. We didn't turn that on, did we? Let's see if we can get another one. Could that be a trend line? Now, could I go ahead and protect my coin with a trend line also, right? Let's say that I get in 3 contracts, to give an example, and I want to protect some coin just in case this thing goes against me. That's a pretty tight trend line, but I could protect my coin with that if I wanted to, by simply, say, taking 1 contract off or something like that. Now, right now, we're just in 1. We're trying to get a second one, second or third. See if it'll get it. There's 3. All right. Now, if I wanted to protect this, let's say, for instance, that I thought, you know what, if this goes against this trend line right here, I might want to take 1 off. I could do it that way and then turn it on. See, that way I got rid of 1, just in case. Because that way I don't take a chance of 3 contracts going against me, because I'm not going to give it all the way to this stop. Okay, everybody see that? That looks like a decent little trade to begin with, doesn't it? All right, let's try the same thing with a region box instead the next time. Okay, y'all want to do that? We'll try it that way. Let's get rid of the trend line because we still got 2 on. We're good. And as soon as this closes below here, if it does, we could lower our stop also, obviously. That's good enough. That's good enough. There you go. You just got your targets. Okay, now real quick, does anybody see where you could actually draw a trend line just in case that you decided you wanted to go counter trend on this thing, maybe on a second chart? See how that kind of popped up right there? Does that give you kind of a trend line? Let's see if we can get a trend line. Right now we're short. Now, real quick, looking at this chart, let's go back to our chart that is the black chart. Just 1 sec. Let's go back to it. And let's look at it for a moment. Let's get rid of all the lines on the chart except for the lightning. All right, does everybody see? Now, this chart's drawing in real time. See how you have your lightning 3, okay? Now, notice right now, what would it take to take out? See how this closed below here? And it's even way below here on lightning 2. So this is your identified swing on lightning 3. That's what it would take to change the trends on this chart right at this very moment anyway. Okay? Now let's see if we could draw a trend line at all. Now if this would hook again, I'd draw it from here to there. But let's see if it does. Let's just see. Could you draw it from there? Instead, if you were a real gutsy trader, see, it's already done it. But see, I was saying you could draw it if it did it. You might get a little trade. Let's see if it does get a little trade, just for the fun of it. See there? There's a 10-tick trade. Everybody see what's happening in real time? Start training your eyes to see this right here, and you'll be able to get a lot of good trades on a chart and stay with the proper trade. I want to just let this go a little bit and show you. See how that's drawing lightning 3? We see what's happening there? All right, let's stop it for just a minute. Now, if you were to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, all right, this is almost what, 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So what you're looking for is you're looking for a retracement type trade, right? You got to see this stuff in your mind. Now, this is why I personally like the lightning 3 as far as looking at my little swings. That's why we put the numbers on them. Okay? Because this is a little bit more just noise, right? This is your 4-range chart moving through here. Okay? But does everybody clearly see that you wouldn't really want to go, against this trend unless you're going to just scalp? Everybody see that? That's what you want to really start training your eyes to see, okay? Let's see if we can look at the chart and see if there was some trade setups on it. Let's go ahead and look here. Same chart. Beautiful trade, beautiful trade, beautiful trade, beautiful trade, right? Right around mid-bands. Box in, box in, box in, box in. Everybody see that? This is actually a pretty cool way to trade, and you're going to find that you're going to be able to stay with the proper trend very, very well if you do it this way. Now, let me ask a quick question. If you were a gutsy trader, could you actually trade this trade? It's pretty much happening as we speak. See, it's already breaking, so I would do that and just see if I could get 10 ticks. Let's see if it works. There you go. Okay. Everybody see that? Took a trend line. Now, are we heading down right this very moment? Yes or no? What would it take to break this to actually change trends? That's a lower high again, right? So far. So you draw your lines on your chart. Like so. And see, that's still a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Okay? Now, to me, with this barely taking this out, I wouldn't be looking for this trend to change until it takes this one out. And it would have to take that out. And keep in mind, this could be stair-stepping down, then start stair-stepping back before it ever takes that back out, obviously. Okay? But in the meantime, we're looking for shorts, aren't we? So let's see if we can box in and get us a quick short. Y'all want to? And we'll do it. You want to do it a little bit more conservatively? We can do that. What if you were to decide, you know what? I'm going to wait for it to thrust and pull back, and I'll draw myself a trend line. Conservative is definitely better a lot of times, that's for sure. Okay, so you've got a high, a low, not a higher high yet. That's not an identified swing yet. So it's still stair-stepping up, right? So far. So let's draw a line under here. And I always like to look to the left too and see the swing right over here. I would probably want it to take that out before I would even box it and take it to that low. Unless we start getting a stair stepping back down up here somewhere. Okay, let's see what it does. All right, now you've got a swing right across here, don't you? That's getting identified. So could you get ready to box this in, anybody? Talking about boxes, so let's do a box. I'm not going to turn these on yet because we don't know exactly where it's going to be yet. But right now, the bottom of it is right here, right? So we could leave that one on just in case it breaks. That's our bottom one. And again, like I say, let's see if, yeah, that's a swing right across there. So we'll let it do that. And I would probably, just in case, so you don't get wicked into that trade, I usually like to let it have a full bar, because if you don't give them a full bar, they'll fake you 90% of the time. Let's see if we can get something. Now, if it stair steps up at all, we'll rearrange our box. Because this is basically about drawing your boxes and move the swings in real time. But we're not looking at longs yet, are we? Now, if this was to break above here, pull back and kiss midband and take off, I'd probably look for longs. Okay, there we got a little trade. We're in one. Are they going to fake us? If they do, they do. Oh, I had that on touch 0. I didn't want that. That's all right. If it takes us, it takes us. We'll give it up if it does. Yeah, it's going to get us. That's what I was talking about those little fakes. Be sure and use close if you do that. I had touch plus 0. That's not smart. So it cost ourselves about $150 more than likely. And you could just close it, absolutely. If that bar closes down, you could stay. If that bar closes back up, you could get out. Just keep your finger on the close trigger. Don't let it go back above midband. Just in case. Yep, I'm closing it. See how it double bottomed right there? Okay, so I saved most of my money. All right, now let's see. You want to see if we can draw a trend line on it instead? All right, let's try that. I'll draw the trend line, but we're going to still take the box. Because this webinar is about boxes, not so much trend lines. I just wanted to show you how I love trend lines, because you can stack up money, pretty quickly, even counter trend if you use trend lines. Just be careful and practice with them first. We're not getting in just yet. Is this an established swing? No, because see, that's a double top and a double bottom. Swing over here to the left. Let's see what we get here. So far, it's still stair stepping up, isn't it? This is where you got to be careful around midbands when they start oscillating around them. And just like I did just a minute ago, if you see it like double bottom and they wicked you in and they give you one more chance to get out, you got to get out. Because I could tell what they were doing simply because they barely got it, then they popped up, and then they pulled back and checked it. And usually if they do that, you get to break even or close to it. See if we can speed this up a little bit or something. You're getting a series of higher lows now. Now there is a little deeper bar probe. What do y'all think? Well, let's just check and see if we think that's going to be good. You got to get a little consolidation patch. Now what I'd probably do, see the support level right there, just under midband, just right there where that swing is. Got my targets turned on again. Let's see if we can get something. And by the way, did you know you can actually get the mid-band box and then actually turn on your wedge to take that trade also if you want to. You are touch zero still. Thank you. Thank you. We'll do close. Now, if this goes higher, we're going to bring our box up. If it makes a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. Could we be trying to catch a missile? Didn't close above. You could still box this in. Maybe like close +2 just in case so they don't fake you. Look to the left, trade to the right, and see if they got any more area. You got a phantom right here too. Predictor's saying that they should hit their head right here. We'll see if they do. I'll draw a line there. Slow, slow. Everybody getting an idea of how to box these in? Now, I know Charles in his webinars, he pretty much will draw the boxes at the mid-band, and then you just use Object Trader the way you like it. Now, that wicked that. I'll do touch +2. And you can move the box in real time, by the way. That's what I like about that box in real time. It will move. And even if you get in a trade, all you got to do is turn on the deal again. Let's see if we can go higher. Not a phantom just yet, is it? Speed this up just a little bit. There we go. We're in the trade. Everybody see how I did that box? Okay. Notice if I turned on this wedge, I could have gotten another trade, but it was pretty much where the box was to begin with. And obviously what you do is move your targets down to a level you see a swing, fade it a little bit, and then ride your runner. Everybody see how I did that? That is actually a really good way to trade. Okay. Now, what if I decide with 2 contracts on here, what if I decide that I want to protect my coin just in case this doesn't take out these bottoms? Could that happen to us? It does all the time to me. I know it happens to you because it happens to me. All right, let's see if we can get at least one target. If that goes above that swing, I'm going to buy it myself, but if it hits my target, I'll be happy. Everybody see what I'm doing here? Now, of course, your stop could be down some more, obviously, right now. You might even bring it down to like just above mid-band. Now, could you, as far as the way this is right this very moment, could you protect yourself with a trend line? Let's say that you wanted to ride this whole thing down, okay? And you said, you know what? I'm just going to protect myself with a trend line instead, a wedge, and draw it. And if it takes that out with like a touch +2, for instance, then we could get out of one of our contracts. See our little trend line? Drawing it right along where it did a thrust retrace. That should have gotten me out of one of those. Well, I'll draw it again here then. We're still in 2. Now, this isn't an established swing just yet, so I'm protecting my coin just in case. If it decides to pop up above like this stealth, to give an example. See how it's above line 2 right now? Because we don't know, for instance, if that's double bottoming yet until we get a lower high. And if we don't get a lower high, then obviously we're going to have to be careful with this trade. Okay, we're out of 1. See how they just barely took out that trend line? Usually they do them in ABCs as a rule. Now, not always. That's the problem with, any trend lines. But we did protect our coin, okay? Now, what could we do to protect our coin? Let's say that we wanted to even get out of this trade if it breaks another trend line. Or how about a box, to give an example? Could we actually just go ahead and use a box on the chart? Let's see if I can get it drawn quick enough. We'll do a region. We'll pop it on. We'll put it just above the swing and only get out of our 1 if it takes out the top of it. And we'll move our box in real time with it. Now, we're not adding to our short right now because this is kind of going sideways. We've already gotten our rollover, so we're not looking for a thrust. We're already in a thrust. Okay, so we're just riding our 1 down. Looks like it's going to break, maybe. Not yet, just wicked it. And we're out. Okay, now I probably would have set that on close, truthfully, because to me that looks like it's just wicking the top of that box is all it's doing right now. So if you did want to get back in this trade, you could box it right here to give an example. See your high, your low, your little higher high. You could box it and take a shot at it just in case. But if I did it, if it's sideways like this, I would just simply go for 10 ticks. And I'd watch it really close if it didn't get me that 10 ticks. Okay, and that's a little bit more aggressive. Let's see if it works just for the fun of it. If it goes higher, we'll bring it up. Draw a trend line. Bring our stop just in case. And we got our target. Okay? Everybody see how you can draw boxes in real time and you can probably do quite well on your trading? Everybody see that? It's actually a pretty good way to trade. I personally like the little boxes and the trend lines. Now, if you were in this trade right now, okay, or you weren't in this trade, we're already out, okay? Where's your next trade on the chart? And don't just go chasing it, because I can show you more than likely, if somebody thinks, wow, this is just going down, 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 so you just simply hit the sell button, that's not the way to do it. Because more than likely, the moment you see the thrust, that's when the profit takers come in. I don't know if they do here. Let's find out just for the fun of it. It looks like we got almost trade. Nope, we're going to miss it. See how it's stair-stepping? See there? See what I was talking about? Don't just chase a trade. And it looks like we might get it, we might not. Yeah, we got it. That's not a smart way to trade, okay? We're retracement traders. We're looking for these retracement trades. Now, could we actually take a trade against the trend to see if we could get a retracement trade? Sure you could, okay? But remember, if you do that type of trading at all, you've got to do it where you're nice and tight so you can make sure that you don't give back a bunch of money to the market. Because right now what I see, and predictor hadn't drawn yet, but I'm seeing right there. Let's see if it draws. And we'll get ready to take a trade if it does. Okay, let's look at our, notice that's like 15 bars at least, because you've got a lightning 3 right here. Everybody see that? So let's see where predictor, got a swing right there. Not really identified very much because it just took 1 bar. So I don't consider this to be an identified swing to change trends. It's literally all the way up here. Okay, so let's see if we can get another short. You usually want like an ABC, actually, that's the best way to trade that. And we already missed it. See how it just kissed predictor instead? Those predictors are pretty accurate, actually. They're pretty darn accurate. So if you missed that one, like I just did just now, You know, the thing is, you got to be careful chasing it if you miss the exact entry on it. Predictor pretty much called it right there, you know, where it was going to roll over. So what do you got to do if you're going to do it? You got to wait for a thrust and a retrace, right? Let's see if we get one. There's your thrust. Good, it broke the low. If you were to get, see the way this is stair stepping, you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a lower high, lower low, same high, lower low. So wouldn't it take pretty much taking this out to change trends? And if you're going to head down, you don't want to go above this or even tag it, simply because a downtrend means that you're getting lower highs and lower lows. Predictor's saying right here would be the area that you would probably want to short that. You want to see if it works? We'll find out. Let's see if we can get something. I'll just hit the button if I see it. Predictor saying up there at the line. Now the reason that I did that right there is because it came really, really just right at my line like that. Now I would probably protect my coin just in case, just above this swing, with like exit on close. Okay? When it's sideways like this, what are you doing, everyone? You're not really thrusting down. See how that's just barely checking these lows each time? So what are you in right now? Anybody? You're in a sideways market. So if you're going to do a sideways market, there we go. I'm going to add one more. See it kiss my line. And I've got my stop in, so I'm good. And it looks like we got a trade. There we go. Still sideways as it can be. What do you think now? Anybody? Now you've actually got a low, a high, same high, right? So we're not changing trends still just yet. So what are we looking for? Well, let's see. They checked this swing, so I'm going to raise my line up just in case. We'll see if we can get a mid-band trade. And let's box it in. See if we can get a box in trade. And we're going to go at least a mid-band or a rollover. Okay, we're looking for very possibly a rollover. Okay, now judging by what I showed you just a little bit ago on those charts, this one right here, what is this trade doing right now? It's actually doing a little stair stepping, isn't it? See, if you look at your chart, you'll see that you got a low, you got a high. You don't have a higher low just yet. It may roll over. That's a minimum criteria trade, everyone, but I don't personally like it when it's sideways like this. Where I like minimum criteria trades is when you're getting a thrust, a retrace, and another thrust. This is actually bottoming out right here so far. You're pretty much, you've got resistance here, support there, and resistance right across here. And I'd even raise it to right here where the actual swing is, like that. That's pretty much the range that you're in right now. Now, are we looking for shorts or longs? Anybody? What do you think? What you're showing is the actual data flow in from Friday. Yes, David. What I try to teach on my webinars is I don't actually just box them in, you know, like at mid-band. We're going to actually use the actual trader system to do it. Okay. Now, if I was to box it in right here, is that a smart trade? Anybody? Because if I waited for the bar to close to here and I've only got to here, is that a smart trade? No. That would be not a smart trade at all. Okay. But if I can get up here, for instance, or even mid-band, would it be a smart trade to try to get back down to here? And the answer is yes, right? So Don't box it in. For instance, if you see a totally sideways movement like this, you want to make sure, well, here we go. It's actually happening as we're speaking here. Does anybody see a trend line you could draw on this at all yet? I'd draw the trend line. Like so. And let's see if we can get a little box in trade too. Now I'd box that one. See it right there? And we may go a little higher too, but what are they doing right now? They're actually got a high here, a low here, a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Now is this a trend change just yet though? Because this is pretty much just a range. Here's your identified swing on the left. They would have to take that out to me to change trends, or they would have to thrust up, kiss this, maybe take it out a little bit, and then come back and kiss midband. See if we can get a trade. And by the way, instead of doing a trend line on it, you can box it in. Got support right there. See your little thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. And by the way, if this goes higher at all, I'll box it in even higher. And you can always do, just so you don't get faked on this, you can always do like a close plus instead. See if we get a trade. Well, what does everybody think? You did get a trade, right? Where's our target on this particular trade? Anybody? Well, looking to the left to trade the right, I see a major swing area right through here. So I'd probably want to protect it. And then we'll go ahead and, well, we only got two, so I'd probably take some coin down here too. You could ride a runner though, if you want. Now, does anybody see a trend line that's actually kind of drawing right here if we were in more than several? You could protect your coin like that even, just in case they take out that touch plus, like say 2, and protect your coin. Everybody see that? Let's see, target the lower white line to be conservative. Well, you could actually take quicker coin than this too, okay? Because we don't know. See, that actually went flat because I had it on 2. So you want to see if we can take it again? Sure. Actually, I'm going to take it right there because it just kissed that swing. See it right there to the left? And I would put my stop just above it, just in case. Close of the bar, right above midband, like that. See if that trade works. So far it is, okay? Everybody's starting to see how to draw on your charts with your boxes and everything, with your trend lines, where you can get in and out of these trades pretty easily. Everybody see that? That's exactly the way you trade this system. All right, and then let's draw a trend line right across there. We're in 1 left. We're going to go ahead, and if we can draw a tighter trend line, we will. See, it's doing it. If it goes down a little bit further, it'll draw a tighter trend line. Not yet. There we go. Just in case I want to get out on the trend line, and that would have to be like that to do that. If it goes back above that trend line, it should get me flat if it goes above it. Everybody see how I'm drawing my trend line? Now that's, keep in mind, if you want to try to ride this trade for the gusto, there we go, we're flat. Okay, now let's let's diagnose this chart. This is getting closer to the open of the market, see at 714 or so. Okay. Notice how they basically kind of double bottoms along in here. So let me ask a quick question. What would it take to change trends on this chart? Anybody? What would it take to change trends on this chart if it was to do it? Well, first off, you're looking at two different types of trades on this chart right now. You would want to take out support, all right, because we've already had the thrust, right? So you would have to have another thrust, like so, break support, come back and kiss like mid-band, which more than likely would be if it did a thrust like that, and then a roll. Okay. You could draw a trend line on the chart. And if you decided you wanted just to go for like 10 ticks on the break of a trend line, you could do that even if you decided. Now, if it breaks, we'll be going short. And if it breaks the trend line, we'll be going long for a quick little trade, just in case we can get a quick little trade with a trend line. Let's see which one it does. Right at support. Higher low? Not yet. Not yet. There's a higher low. There you go. You just got 10 ticks. Everybody see how trend lines will also work on your charts? Now, I was talking about with this double bottoming right here and breaking a trend line, does everybody see where if this was to decide to break up instead of down that it would have to take out? Because until it takes out this swing across here, you're not really looking for longs. Let's see if something happens. I'm going to just run it at 500 times for a couple of minutes and see. All right, you're still stair-stepping up. Could draw a trend line, right? Just in case. Well, nope, there it broke up. So now what are we looking for, everyone? What says the team? Now we're looking for longs. Why are we looking for longs instead of shorts now? Anybody? Because your lightning 3 has been breached and you're stair-stepping up, right? So let's look at this. We've got a swing right under here. Whoop. Let me get rid of the lines. We got a swing right under here on what we call our micro swings. All right, everybody see that? Thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. So they don't really want to take this out if we're going to head up, right? So we're looking for a trade either coming down here and kissing this area right here. There's a swing right here that they broke out pretty solid, so I draw another line. And so we don't catch a falling knife, because that's actually a phantom, isn't it? Could you take that phantom trade? Anybody? Well, we kind of missed it already, but I'm going to go ahead and take a chance on it if that bar closes down. Bar closes down, I'll take for 10 ticks. Should have grabbed it right here. Because this, even though this changed trends, this is a true phantom trade. And I do like to take phantom trades. And I'm going to just stay profitable, period. If it goes against me, I'm just going to kill it. Close a bar, and I'll kill it if it goes against me. That's a little late to me to get into a phantom trade. Yeah, we should get out. Well, that bar's trying to close down. Let's see. We're good. We're good. I'm going to protect it, though, just in case. All right. Now, real quick, let's just close it just for the fun of it. If you got up in the morning and you were up at 7:45, does anybody see what you do in this chart right now? Because what direction are we heading now? We even took out this swing. High, low, lower high, lower low. Pretty much it kind of double bottomed here, right? But this was a pretty good swing. But since it double bottomed, this is not identified. This one definitely was identified. Everybody see that? Yeah, you'd be looking for longs now. Notice that our background also went green too. Okay. So what could you do in a case like this one? Anybody? Could you draw a trend line? Could you box it? Could you just simply wait for it to start stair stepping back up with your lightning? Let's just do lightning 1. Let's draw lightning 1 here. All right, there's our lightning 1 right there. Let's see if we can get a trade. We've got our lines drawn on our chart. Anybody see a trend line? Anybody see a box setting up? Got a little resistance right over here to the left. Let's draw a box. And we really don't want to go any lower than that right there, right? Simply because what they're trying to do when they pull back is they're trying to check support. They could even check this support. So I got 2 lines drawn. So I'm going to see if I can get a trade. Notice I had those drawn ahead of time. Well, I got to turn that on, don't I? Thrust, retrace, thrust, swing. Now, it shouldn't take this one out if we're going to head up. This is coming a little bit deeper, but as everybody see that you've also got a box right here above mid-band. So we're going to take it either way it decides to go. Now, if you don't want to take it on a bounce off of and you want to take the break above, there's our little white box, by the way. Anybody remember this trade on Friday at all? Could you actually readjust your trend line? Yep, too late now. Let's go ahead and take everybody see how we figured that one out ahead of time? Now, if you remember right, in the room on Friday, that trade was actually called. Now, where would you put your stop on this trade? Anybody? See your low, your high, your higher low, your higher high, your higher low. Not established yet. Now it's established. Could you put your stop right underneath the swing? Absolutely, you could. Could you move your targets out of the way? This is at the open of the market. Now, what if you missed that trade entirely? What would you do if you missed that trade entirely? Anybody? This is what I was wanting to show that you can also do if you'd like. Now, if you're in 2, let's just pretend you're only in 1. Let's just take 1 off. All right, does anybody see a box right here that's trying to form? What if this doesn't come back down to here and it just decides to break up? Could you actually add to the trade if it takes out that little swing right there? Yes. Now keep in mind that this goes against everything except openings of the market, because when the market opens, okay, a lot of times they don't come back and check anything, but they'll break these little micro swings and things, and you can actually add on them. And that's what I was talking about when you use your region on your chart in real time, because you can definitely add to those like that. And always they're giving you the idea of right where they're going so that you can make sure that you get out of the trade even before mid-band if you want to. Let's fire this trade and see what we get. We'll take if it breaks above there with a touch. Looks like it got us 2. Could you add another one right there? Absolutely you could. Probably not now, but maybe. Maybe. Comes back down on here. Could you turn this on? See where it's trying to hit that swing right there? There you just added one. Put your stop all the way underneath the identified swing. as soon as it closes above that. Right now, I'd put it right under here. Good enough. Now, does everybody see also that they're trying to tell you where the trend line is? Let's look at the black chart. We don't care what the price does right now. Let's look at the black chart. And then we're going to wrap because this is almost an hour and 10 minutes. Let's look at the black chart. Where are you at, black chart? Okay, there's the black chart right there. Let's see if we can figure out where to get out of this trade also. Got a trend line. See the thrust, retrace thrust? You could redraw your trend line, absolutely. See, when you get 2 points, you can actually draw your trend line. And let's just see if that type of trading actually works pretty well. It's going like 500 times to see what happens here. There you go. Everybody see that? Draw your trend lines on your charts, draw your boxes on your charts, and you'll make some really good decisions. Now, what would it take to get back in this trade now? Well, I would draw on my charts. I'd draw a line across here. We know for a fact they can't go under here if they're going to head up, that is. All right. So where do you think this will bounce? Anybody? What says the team? Anybody? Well, you had a pretty good breakup that they haven't checked yet. See, they just checked there and they bounced. They haven't checked here as of yet where they broke out. They haven't checked here where they broke out, but they can't check any lower than here. So let's see if we diagnose this properly in real time. I'm not going to trade it. I'm just going to see if it works. Still at 500 times. Let's see what it does. And could you see that you could draw a trend line more than likely? Could you draw a tighter trend line? Whoop, don't want to move the object. Yeah, already breaking it. Let's see if we can get into a trade. There's our actual trend line right here. Everybody sees that, right? Let's see if they still keep stair-stepping down or what. So we're going to leave our actual trend line. Here we go. Now we can draw it again. Identified swing or not. Where did we say that it can't go below? All right. We're not getting in just yet. We're trying to see if they're going to actually do the break of our actual trend line, which is right along in here. And then we could box it. Still heading down, so we'd box it. Now we'll redraw our trend line. See if they do any more heading down or if that was pretty much it. Now keep in mind, these draw a little bit later than looking at our actual chart. Let's look at our actual chart just 1 second. Our actual chart is right here. So right now we're still down here. So what does the team think? Could you actually get ready to take this trade? See how it's breaking? Trying to stair step. Is it trying to stair step right now? We said it can't go any lower than here, right? That was our lowest point. Still stair stepping down so far. That, by the way, was a good phantom trade when we drew that tighter trend line. But let's see if we can get in this trade. Now, this has changed to this right now. See that? But is this a short yet? Anybody? Low, high, higher, low, higher, high. It is not a short until it takes this out. Now, does that mean you can't short this at mid-band and draw some trend lines and take some quick trades? Yes, you can do that. But what I'd be looking for, even on a trade like this, is, right now anyway, I would have probably shorted somewhere around mid-band if I drew a trend line, so I'd be in a short. But then if this thing does decide to pop back up before it takes this out, I would get ready for a long. And I'd probably be boxing at something like that. We'll see if we can get in a trade. Can't go any lower than 27. Now, we're still short, obviously, if you would have drawn your trend line. Keep in mind that we were looking at a chart that your swings draw later, but you're seeing the real prices. You could have definitely done your trend lines and boxed them in. By the way, you can just roll this thing like this too. That must have been a little bit of a jump on that. Now, what if you got in this, but you also see this trend line right here? Could you add if it breaks that? And you could. Now, notice that I actually went long on this trade. And by the way, we called this trade in the room, but we called it right here. This is actually where we called it, right here, because we were looking for a mid-band trade. Okay, but does everybody see that that did not change trends? Not on Lightning 3. Okay, so now we're in 2, and yeah, you could box it if you wanted to right above mid-band. Like that, and ride your runner. Okay? Like I say, I ran this one a little bit longer, but does everybody see if you actually start drawing trend lines on your charts? Okay? If you want to go against the trend, always remember too that you've got to pretty much get an ABC. Draw your trend line, but if you're drawing it and it's too tight, remember I've said even, like say for instance, if you drew this right here and that's too tight, see how that broke that trend line back to the upside? Well, if you happen to draw it tight and it goes up and then it pulls right back down below mid-band or even a Lightning 1, then get out of it because the trend line was just too tight. Because what they did is they did an ABC. They gave a lower high than this one, and then they actually made the overall trend line where you could have drawn it that way. And I found, too, that 45-degree trend lines work real well. Let's see, explain the touch variable. You're talking about on region, David, on your question? Yeah, what touch is, let me just show you real quick. If I was to move this, let's say like this, all right, and I wanted to touch that outside by, let's say, like 2 ticks, that has to go outside that box by touch plus 2, okay? And it has to actually do 1 more tick to fire the market order at your broker. So see, that's 1 tick out. That's 2 ticks. There you go. So you just fired it. So that was the 3rd tick out of the gate. Okay. Now, if I did it on a close instead, let's just try it again. Let's do it on a close instead. And it has to actually close the bar above the swing. See, like if I move that box like that, if that bar closes, see, it fires it. See there? Okay, like if I wanted to add again, see how it will look to fire it again? close plus. We didn't get our ad just then. Let's try it again. Yeah, there's their third one, third contract. See how that works? So if you're doing touch, touch even, see there's 4 right there. Okay, that pardon me, that's the way it just does touch outside. But notice I can actually move this just like any kind of a line. I can just move this in real time. Now, what if I wanted to protect this trade? Because keep in mind, my stop's way down here right now, but let's draw a trend line. We've got a trend line kind of like that right now, right? Along those 2 lows. You could draw another one right here. More like so. See how it's now doing that trend line? And sure, if you were in like 3, you could easily say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take 1 off if it touches 2 ticks below that trend line. You could do that. Oh, I've got a region instead of a trend line. Sorry about that. We'll redraw it. Just in case, we'll take 1 off. It already did. All right. Everybody see now? I know this went a little bit longer, and I apologize for that. I hope everybody got something out of this. You can move these boxes. That's one of the updates that we did to Object Trader almost a year ago. Before, you had to hit the insert button and then the enter button, to move it or anything. Now you can actually move this thing in real time. Everything that you can do on this chart, you can do with these object types and everything. And keep in mind that good drawn trend lines will get you out of a trade at a good time too, okay? Because what if this trade was just totally through right now? Maybe it's not, but maybe it is, okay? See how it's pulling back right there? Now, is that a good entry again for a trade? See how it's kissing predictor? Well, now you're looking at more. You could draw your box clearly, right? I can see it right now. See if it takes out. See there, you could have done a little trade right there. Now I've got this running at 300 times is why it's moving pretty quickly. But everybody see how you can see that in real time? I was getting ready to draw that box just right across there, and it just literally busted right where we said it would. Now could you redraw your trend line? If you're in runners and everything? Sure. Just bring it to the low. Now it's had a good thrust to middle band, and redraw it. And we're in 2. You could easily take all of them off if it happens to break that trend line. That's how easy you could trade this. Okay, you want to see if it works? Trend line held. Trend line held. Trend line held. Trend line still holding. Trend line still holding. Oh, I got it region again. Talk on it. That's one thing you got to do. You got to put it on the right thing. See how I did my trend line? I'm going to close it. See how I did my trend line right there, but I forgot to change it from region. Don't fall asleep like that and mess up, because if you have it on the wrong object type, that's all built into the code, so it's definitely not going to do the trick, right? So could you have taken another trade right there off that predictor? Sure. Okay. And just always check your charts and everything. Make sure that you know the overall direction of your trend. Okay. Right here with your, what would it take to change the trend on this chart right now? Well, I see that they'd have to take out 99, right? They'd have to take out 10 if this comes up above here. That's lightning 3. Let's just, for the fun of it, We've got it on 500 times. Let's see if I'm right on this. It's still heading up, right? Still heading up beautifully. Now, to me, to change trends, see here, high, low, higher, low, not a higher high, only by a tick. That is not an identified swing. This is your identified swing. It would take taking out 45.99 to change this trend. Now, does that mean you couldn't have done this? Done a trend line and gotten a quick short when it double topped like that? Sure. See if it changes trends at all. Not yet. Did it change trends yet, anybody? No. So just keep in mind that if you'll watch for that type of, drawing on your charts, and you'll stay with the trend a lot better. When they double top, don't fall for this being your change of trend. Does that mean you can't do your trend lines and draw longs and trend lines and draw short? You can still do all that. Okay? All right. Did everybody get something out of this today? Hope it helped. And be sure and study some of the webinars. Let's see. What about a line from 45.34? 45.34. Oh, you mean something like that? Straight through there? Where it actually drew like that trend line? Where it broke? Yeah. Yeah, you could short that. Absolutely. How are you drawing the box using, I think, insert to draw the box? Yes, Cross, on your question. Whoops, sorry about that. Where'd my object trader? There it is. All right. With Object Trader, what you do is you actually use the insert key to draw the region box. I can actually make it come and go. Okay. Insert to go away, insert to come back. Okay. So it's that easy to use that. And keep in mind that you can move it all over the place too. You can stretch it. You can do anything you want with it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Is there a way to know that a predictor trade will go my way? Sal, on your question, I like predictor trades more when the market is choppy. Okay. Keep in mind that if you draw on your charts and you see the swings and everything, when, for instance, if you drew a line like right through here, could you see if you were looking at this, okay, that was support. It's now resistance, right? If they take that out and then they roll back through it, that's the way we draw our lines on our charts. Because could you have shorted this underneath this line? Yeah. And you got about 10 ticks at least. And then when they start stair stepping up, see your highs, your lows. Okay, so you got a low, high, higher low, higher high. You're looking for longs, right? Still looking for longs, aren't you? See, higher low. 27 to 34, that's definitely a higher low. Okay? Any final questions? Because I kept this going an hour and a half. Let's see. Safe to say you used insert to draw on Charles May. Well, Cross, on your question, what Charles does is he doesn't actually use replay at all. Now, if you're in the room and you hear these calls live in the room, you know that we're doing this literally live in the room, right? Okay. So if you see that done in real time in the room, what I do in my webinars is I show you why we got the trade. Okay. And using these little boxes and everything is very powerful using Object Trader. You can get some phenomenally good trades just simply trading with Object Trader. Okay. And just learn to use these boxes. My two favorites on here are region and wedge. Is that a trade, anybody? Yep. See it? 10 ticks, I'll bet you. See, it came right down on top of that swing. See if it does it. Yep, 10 ticks. See that? 10 tick trade, wasn't it? Now, what would it take to change trends on this? You could actually short, by the way, if you see a Lightning 3 and you want to short that, for instance, if it takes it out with the close of a bar, you could actually do that. See how that's a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. But to change trends, it would have to pretty much take this swing out. Everybody see that? See, we actually got a good trade just by watching that support level right there. Okay. Now, if you were trading this in real time, though, you would obviously be watching for your support levels, watching your support levels. You know, this is actually changing trends. See the background's changing? The mid-band will probably change pretty soon. Okay. I think everybody got quite a bit out of this, I hope, today. Remember to always look for identified swings. Look to the left to trade the right. Keep your stops nice and tight with the swings. Draw trend lines, and you won't give a bunch of money back to these markets. You know, could you draw this trend line right here? That might be too tight. Just back it off a little bit. Let it do its thing. You know, you could also put your stop, or you could just simply say, you know what? I'm just going to go long with 2, which would mean, or with 1, if it takes out my trend line, because I'm protecting my trade, right? I'm totally protecting my trade as I go down. Got my trend line drawn. And I would put it on wedge like that. And if it touched it plus like say 2 or something, you could always get out of the trade if it breaks that trend line. See, so far it hadn't broken it, but you could protect a lot of coin. You don't have to go all the way back up here. That's $240 from where I'm at to there. My trend line will protect me. See there? Flat. Pretty good way to trade, everyone. What would it take to break this back up? Well, breaking resistance would do the trick, wouldn't it? Could you box it? Well, I'm too late, but just went out of that box. Let's just see if it works. See how it went back above my resistance area? There are trades all over the place. You just got to see them. All right, let's see. I keep being taken out falling with stealth. Can Lightning 2 be used? Absolutely. On your trail. Yeah, just go to this one right here called Lightning 2. And if you hit your space bar, you'll see where Lightning 2 is. Let's say, for instance, I'm long on this. Let's just go ahead and go a couple of contracts. Say we're in 3. All right. And I turn on my Lightning enable. I can use Lightning also. That's going to stair step up. As this pops up, it'll pull up to right here. If it stair steps up. See, so far Lightning 2 is holding. Lightning 2 going to hold. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe so, maybe not. And looks like you were taken out on Lightning 2. Now, wasn't the trend line better though, Cross? See, because I would have drawn my trend line under those lows and you're pretty much out already rather than waiting on that Lightning 2. Okay, use trend lines. You'll find they work quite well. All right, thanks everyone for coming. And I definitely ran over 30 minutes. Have a very Merry Christmas with your family. Enjoy your time off. We're going to be closed until Wednesday. I'll be around as far as that goes. If somebody needs any help, be sure to watch your email next week because we are definitely sending out new scripts and I'm hoping to even have some new trades. But if we don't get the new trades, you'll at least have new scripts. Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks for coming to this last webinar. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everyone. Thanks.